What's up, chat? What's good, guys? Are you okay? Are you doing well? Just want to make sure that you guys are doing well today. So, without further ado, chat, let's do the pre-market today. So, yesterday it was not a good day for me, so I'm hoping that today will be a positive day at least, you know? Right now what I'm looking at is the dollar pushing up here and then continue to go lower. If ma-flip natin tong level na to on the dollar, then I think we might just push higher on the dollar. But if I'm looking for this area to get top kay dollar, and then mag-aantay ako ng long opportunity with GU and EU. So, ang long opportunity ko or point of interest will be this for value gap here. Right? Itong FVG na to. And for EU, I would say this one. Siguro mag-sweep siya below here. Then go higher. Although na-hit na natin yung Wednesday high ng June 11. Right? So, baka magkaroon tayo ng deeper drive here. But, naisip ko rin pwede mag-create siya ng daily FVG here. Mag-drop siya bukas dito and then push higher. One thing I don't want to do is kapag na-take yung liquidity, is agad magre-reverse ako na opportunity. I think mas better i-play yung continuation in this case. And then long-term target will be this high from 2021. So, yun yung iniisip ko na potentially balikan ng market. So, I'm still bullish on this. And as far as the dollar and the ES... Wait. What happened? Okay. As far as the NQ and ES, I think these two are poised to go all-time high. Right? Pero mas mukhang may mukhang chance mag all-time high si Nasdaq compare kay ES. So, they are 300 points away and I think that's totally possible na mangyari within the next today or next 2 days. Rinatching ako. And by the way, chat, nakuha ko na yung 49-inch monitor ko. Meron na akong panibagong concern ngayon, guys. May bago akong concern. Masyadong malayo pala yung camera. Okay. May bago akong concern, guys. Nakuha ko yung 49-inch monitor ko, but the issue now is hindi gumagana yung tatlong monitor ko kasi dalawa yung 4K. So, kailangan ko mag-upgrade ng GPU or kaya ng CPU para dun ko ilalagay yung isa kong built-in monitor or yung isang monitor. So, yun guys. Yun yung isa sa mga issue ko. Parang ang pangit ng camera ko. Na-weirdoan ako. But yeah, maybe pakita ko yung setup ko sa inyo. I'm not sure if kakayanin ng camera ko. But yeah, let me try. So, guys. Yan, ito na yung 49-inch ko, guys. Ayan, bumalik na. Tapos ito gamit ko dito. Yan yung bago ko na isa. So, yeah, new monitor. Bumalik na. So, yun nga yung issue ko, hindi gumagana. Unfortunately, yung isa kong monitor. So, kinonect ko siya sa MacBook. Okay. balik na natin to. So, there is the... By the way, tapos na pala yung 80% off kay Apex, so I need to update my Apex discount. Apex discount is finished, chat. Di ko alam ano yung current discount. I think 50% lang siya. Payout denied on 6-9 with Apex but not losing hope getting one trade a day till 8 days again. Oh, sorry to hear that, Elaine. Anong dahilan ng pagka-payout deny mo? Ano yung dahilan ng payout denial mo? Curious. Alright, let's go back. Dang, ngayon ko lang na-feel ulit to, yung palit-palit ako ng screen. Thank you, thank you. Anong bank? Gamit ko BPI, pero initially papasok muna siya sa ano ko, sa Wise account. So, guys, I'm looking for setup actually, guys, kay gold. So, 15 minutes time frame. I'm looking for this setup. Ito, guys. I'm looking for this setup. Although, ang concern ko dito is my triple top. But, yeah. It is interesting to me. Bearish ako on gold. Anything like this is good, in my opinion. Like, this has great risk to reward as well. Pwede kang maging conservative. So, 50% ka mag-entry. But I think this is good, no? Wait, you know what? I'm gonna prepare my live account. I think I'm gonna risk $80 on this trade. It's a live account. Good. Ganon. Age. 0.01. Dang. 0.01 lot. $135 na yung risk. Okay, guys. I'm looking for this setup. Concern lang dito is the fact na we have this triple top, pero overall bias ko on gold is short. War is finished. I'm looking for continuation lower here. Ang concern ko lang dito is may no wick candle to, right? Pero dito lang siya sa forex.com. But if titingnan mo yung futures chart, wala siyang no wick candle. But still, I'm bearish on this one. Especially we flip on the daily. Gonna attempt this one time, pero pag natalo ko, I will not force it kasi isa pang possible scenario dito, guys, is we might just consolidate here. Magkaroon tayo ng inside day, and then possible on Thursday we hit this high, then continuation lower, right? Baka ma-fail tong inefficiency sa Thursday, tas mag-continue yung downside. Diba? Pwedeng ganun yung mangyari. But I'm taking a stab in here. Pag natalo ako, I might take a stab again tomorrow on the short side for a daily FVG play. Pero for now, yan na muna yung tinitingnan ko. Dollar, NQ and ES really, it's just purely going all-time high at the moment and nothing to overthink at this point. So, yeah. I'm gonna be trading my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 account, guys. 13 account. Nakakuha na ako ng payout. So, I already gotten my payout. And honestly, guys, I think I might size down today because of how ugly the price action is. Right? So, kung 13 yung account ko, 5 times 13, 5 times 5, 50. So, kailangan ko mag 65 micros. Right? 65 micros. I might size down today, guys. Baka mag-micro lang ako and then look for basic kasi yesterday was ugly price action. And today we will have another Powell speaking. So, no man's land yung NQ. Yeah, true. Hindi pa naman. Hindi pa naman siya no man's land, but yeah, it's gonna be tough. Yesterday was rough already and I expect the same today. Sa totoo lang. If you have the guts to you know, play the upside, just have a large stop loss, you can do that. But if we are going to play the downside, I think this is a reasonable area to go long. If ever na mag-drop tayo aggressively, I think this is a good opportunity to buy sa FVG na to sa 1 hour. Same thing here. Although meron tayong low resistance liquidity run dito, ang daming trend liquidity, meron din naman tayong SMT, right? KES at this level. So, yeah, I think this is a good buy. Pwedeng ito yung balikan ng market, but as premium and discount trader, we want to be buying at a much discount level. So, may mga time na kapag yung market is trending na ganyan kalala, hindi na babalikan yung deeper discount. So, it's just trend days are not my best days sa totoo lang. Oh, dang. Okay. Yung camera, sorry. Wait lang. Ano yan? I think sobrang init. Sobrang init ng camera. Or baka na-lowbat. Hindi man lowbat. That's weird. I think mainit lang siya. Wait lang. Ayusin natin yan, chat. Pero, saan ako upo? Hindi ko makita yung blower ng camera ko, guys. God damn it. Oo nga. Actually, you know what? Mahina yung aircon, tapos nakabukas pa yung pinto. No audio? I don't think so. There's an audio. Gamit kong camera is Sony ZV-E10. Sony ZV-E10. Ew, nahihirapan naman ako sa'yo. Maganda pa yung pwesto mo sa akin. Sony ZV-E10. Okay, mukhang okay naman na. Again, guys, I wanted to go short at this 15 minutes for value gap. Right? My stop is gonna be at the London high. My target is gonna be at this low. Tingnan natin din yung projection if hanggang saan to. Possible hanggang dito. Right? 4 standard deviation. Possible din siya hanggang dito lang, right? We'll see. We'll find out. Malayo ka lang kanina. Yeah, malayo lang ako kanina. True. Alright. Market is gonna open in 1 minute, chat. 1 minute. Let's see. By the way, I might leave you guys kapag nagkaroon na ako ng sundo duties. Meron ako sundo duties today, chat. So, market is open. Good luck to you all. Good luck to you guys. Let's kill it this week. Let's kill it this day. And hopefully, we will all smash it this week. Or this day, at least. let's see. Let's see. Again, ES and NQ in a not very good position in my opinion. Like I'm not. Ooh, this is wild. This is wild price action. You can buy and close your eyes right here, chat. Buy and close your eyes. Buy and close your eyes, chat. That was an aggressive bump. Aggressive bump on NQ right there. Aggressive pump. Personally, chat, sa totoo lang, I'm not good trading near all-time highs. So, I don't know. I may look for just long, but at the same time, I will be careful. I will be careful, chat. I will be careful. If we look at the gap, medyo naninibago ako sa setup ko kasi from left to right na naman ako tumitingin. Meron na ako monitor sa right side. Quadrant. Sanay ako dun sa ganyan lang. Akyat baba. Quadrants. The beauty of trading is you don't have to know what's gonna happen. There are days na you will feel like you're not on point kasi wala kang idea kung anong gagawin ng market, or it won't just simply give you that entry opportunity based on your rules. And yeah, it is what it is. So again, this is an area na gusto kong mag-short, but it looks like ayaw niyang balikan tong level na to. Nag-top siya dito sa OB na to and starting to drop down. But as long as, in my opinion, as long as we haven't hit this full for value gap or 2 standard deviation, I think this entry is still pretty much good. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay. Push higher. Now we're dropping. 10 o'clock, guys, we will have, again, Jerome Powell testify. Like I said, yesterday, 3 bullish candles to before possible magkaroon ng bearish candle. On a daily time frame, yeah, possible. It's actually truly possible na magkaroon ng 3 consecutive bullish candle. The daily time frame, there's no reason for this to stop, sa totoo lang. Unless there's a major economic news na mangyari. But yeah, not going to... My main issue is where would I put my entry, right? Kailangan dito sa higher time frame ka mag-trade, and I'm so used at trading 1 minute. Tagal ng girlfriend ko di pa nagpapasundo. Weird. It's already time. It's already time. Still pushing higher. Still pushing higher. Still grinding. Lods, 1 hour OB sa baba ng gold, mag-bounce kaya yun? Honestly, I don't know. I'm looking for... I don't think so. I'm looking for short. I'm not looking for longs. Looking for short, chat. I'm not looking for longs on gold. This is an area na gusto ko mag-short. Yeah, 1 hour retracement to short. I agree. We're going to go short. I think reasonable yung 1 hour. This 1 hour or even this 1 hour for a deeper pullback. Ito, deep pullback. Ito, okay na to. It can go back here and continue higher. But it can also not do that. Pwedeng umangat lang to, right? The market does not make any sense right now. It's just going higher. And as an ICT trader, I think that's one of the most difficult part is because we're not used to buying the breakout. Diba? Sanay tayo with the frame, stop loss, clear invalidation. We're not used to just buying breakout and holding, right? For no reason, without any logic. So, I think if you're trading EMA and VWAP during this market environment, I think that will pay as well. Say you're just trading the trend. Sa pa palang tinitingnan ko setup guys, si Euro AUD. I'm looking for a bullish 1 hour FVG kay Euro AUD and then I will try to go long. Ito yung tatargetin ko kay Euro AUD. Sir, ilang days yung sa activation na ipasa ko na ngayong araw yung eval. Oh, nice one, March. You can activate the account right after mong mapasa. So, if ngayon mo napasa, mamaya makaka-receive ka ng email na napasa mo yung eval, then you just have to pay the activation fee. Call ko muna yung jowa ko guys. Baka na paano na. Ngayon na, di pa rin siya nag-ano. Nagte-text. Okay. Di pa siya tapos. Meron na ads. Whitey mo. Matagal na may ads ang YouTube ko, guys. Matagal na may ads. Sir, paano mo pa sa eval? Meron akong full video, AJ, on how to pass your eval. I have a full video on how you can do that. I have a full video. Check mo yung playlist ko. Futures playlist. Still going. Wow. Wilders. Kung iisipin mo, nag-hold tong 5-minute FVG, oh. Still going. Ay, ang likod ko. Yung aso ko na sa likod ko. Hindi ako makasandal. Sana yung Apex magkaroon siya ng sale on July 4th. I'm looking forward sa sale na yon sa July 4th kay Apex. Hi Les, what's up? Good evening. Guys, make sure you like the stream. I try to show up every day. Sa totoo lang, ayoko mag-stream today because I know it's gonna be choppy, just like yesterday. Pero I wanna show up for you guys. I wanna show up for you guys. Third pa rin ba? There you go. Still going. I used to play Dota before, but not anymore. My Hero Academia nilalaro ngayon, Royal Rumble. I used to play a lot of Dota in the past, especially during pandemic. Lagi ako nagdo-Dota back then. But I don't play Dota anymore. Masyado siyang time consuming. 1 hour kada game. And yeah. Masyadong time consuming yung pagdo-Dota for me now. But before, I used to a lot. Like 12 hours a day, 8 hours a day playing Dota. Especially pandemic. My idol, Boss Ron and mentor Neil. Hey, what's up, Romil? Good evening. All-time high, guys. We are near 300 points away. 300 points away from all-time high. Choppy action again. Choppy action. Mamaya panoorin natin ulit si Powell. Hapon guys, kahit 1 PM, 1 AM ata ng Pilipinas, nagsasalita pa rin siya, hindi ako nagkakamali. Oh, damn. Same boring price action from yesterday. Same. The only difference is Forex didn't move much. Hopefully gold will give me an entry. Pero, I don't know. It looks like it's not looking good. Really. Patapos na yung volume at this time. What a price action, guys. What a price action. If you're killing it on this price action, congratulations to you. Personally, for me, this is hard price action to trade with. This is very hard for me. Personally, this is hard for me. Ooh, ooh. Like this month, I feel like most of my accounts is in drawdown. The only good thing about this month is marami akong cushion on my trading accounts na nakapag-request ako ng almost 15,000 payout this month and na-approve na sila, which is nice. So far on this month, I made $14,250. $800K. Not bad, right? For this month. But my accounts are not doing well. From 20 account, naging 13. I might blow actually all of them, or at least 5 of them, or 6. Baka blow ko yung 6 this week. I don't know. Meron na lang $800 worth of drawdown. Sa iba kong account. 6 account are $800 worth of DD. Yan some push lower. So hard. Like, if I am going to short, I want this level. I want this level for shorts. If nag-flip tayo, I want this target or even just this. 80. If we flip 510, 506, I would target this 80 and 75. $10.50 as well. Malapit magkaroon ng wick test dito sa 15 minutes. Wick test on 15. But ES is driving lower. Pupunta dito sa FVG niya. Not taking this 15-minute wick test. I think it's too risky for longs. Not taking that. When our FVG on ES has been partially filled. Nasdaq is dumping right now. Jumping like crazy. If I'm gonna look for longs, it's gonna be right here. For a basic trade. 25. A stop go is gonna be something like this. I would like for a basic trade. Make it. ES is at 1 hour per value gap right now. Nasdaq, di ko alam if na-flip na natin to sa 5. Oh yeah, hindi pa siya. We still need 3 minutes to close it out. 3 minutes para ma-close out siya. Dapat conservative ka sa mga account na may cushion na. Hirap din mag-build ng cushion. Honestly, mas aggressive ako kapag may cushion na. Because I have a lot of room for drawdown. Conservative ako sa mga account na walang cushion. I'm more basic kind of guy. Pero really, I mean, I can't complain. I made 14K this month. Not gonna complain. On payouts. Okay guys, I have longs. I'm not sure if this will get paid, but we'll see. This level. Okay, we are retesting the 5. Retesting the 5. We need to flip at this level. If wala tayong flip dito, it might not go even lower. You need to see a flip. It's a 5 minutes time frame. We have an SMT sa 1 hour between ES and NQ. So we have to be aware of that. 1 hour SMT in a way na yung inefficiency ni ES na fill na, while the Nasdaq hindi pa. So there's a tendency na baka hindi man ma-fill tong FVG na to. Right? May possibility na mangyari yun. Then it shoots up another, I don't know, many points higher. So we haven't flipped yet. We haven't flipped sa 5. So it's still closing above the 5. Still closing above the 5. We have an SMT as well. A 1 minute. We haven't closed sa 5. We need to see a close below here. Gold. Okay, gold wala. Just consolidating. Ang problem dito is if we are inside this 5-minute FVG, the time frame alignment kasi ng 1 hour is 5. So this is still bullish pretty much, but I'm not gonna be longing at this level because I want a deeper longs. I want deeper drive. Pwedeng ma-hit niya tong high na to, then start to push lower. So bearish FVG to. First bearish FVG. Hindi ko makakonsider na FVG to kasi nag-trade siya dito. May wick. 27. I'm willing to take a stab on this one. Tingnan ko, ma-feel ako. Stop loss ko is above this high. So, I am... Oh my God! Oh my God! Wait lang, chat. Hindi siya na-copy trade. Holy fuck. Mabablow ko tong account na to. Mabablow... Ay, hindi. Fuck. Kala ko di siya na-copy trade. Okay. Ay, naginabahan ako doon. Kala ko di na-copy trade. Nagpanic ako doon. I panic. Panic, chat. Not looking good. Ayoko nang bumalik siya dito. Kasi may wick dito eh. So, for me, this is efficient price already. It was offered a lot of times. So, that hindi na niya abutin tong high na to. But, I might be wrong. Still going higher. Bullish 5 pa rin yung 5. So, just such an unfortunate stop out. Fuck me, chat. Fuck me. I hate this price action, I swear. I swear. I wanted to go long if we just stop this level, but yeah. Down na ako ng 600 on the wick so far. $600 on each account for the wick. Yesterday was actually 700 na, I think. Yesterday was minus 475. I really hate this. Like, I swear. I hate this price action. Oh man, this is frustrating. Oh, SMT rin, yeah, true. It's just I want lower. I want to see this 5 minutes. Dito yung gusto ko. Right? Mali ko dito is pinrun ko yung bullish 5 minutes. This was my mistake right here. Pinrun ko to na babalik siya. But yeah, it is annoying for sure. It is annoying, chat. We may even just it can still work. Really, pwede pa rin siya mag-workout in my opinion, like if we invert this again. But yeah, it's just super annoying. Not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, chat. Not happy. I'm not proud of it. Ayoko rin kasing magantay na matagal kay Jerome Powell. It's annoying. That's all I can say. It is annoying. Pump it, Powell. Yeah. Bullish, still OF. Bullish OF. First 930 FVG. Yeah, first 930. Nasdaq, I think ito yung first 930 niya. Sa totoo lang. I think Nasdaq first 930 is here. If you're going to short, yeah, this is the first 930 FVG kay Nas in my opinion. Super annoying. Look me. Patience, yeah. Hate this. Mag-hold yung 5. Nag-hold yung 5. Nag-hold yung 5 minutes bearish FVG. Annoying. Super annoying. Down ako ng 2.6 overall. Then malapit ko na mablow to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 accounts. Malapit na mablow. The rest are still okay. Malalayo pa naman sa blown account situation, but at the same time, ayoko silang mablow, guys, because this account are near payout. Malapit sila sa payout, so don't wanna blow them. Dapat dito. Hindsight dito ako that nag-short for 10 points. Expecting chop 32. Still at. Yeah, that dito ako nag-short in hindsight. Oh. This is painful. This is painful to watch. Annoying? Oh man. I'm not tilted in any way. It's just I should have known better na dapat kapag sa ganitong environment hindi ako nagiging precise and be more conservative with my entries. If I just it is what it is. I'm not gonna complain. Not gonna complain, chat. Masyadong dip itong FVG na to eh. But yeah, this is the 930 FVG. We have 1 minute OB. Down here. We also have 1 minute FVG. Ito yung volume imbalance. Volume imbalance. Oh. Good evening, Lakan. Good evening, good evening. What's yung jowa ako? What happened? What happened? What happened? Close open. Yung initial na gusto kong long kanina. If I take another loss on this trade, chat, I'm done for the day. I'm not gonna force it. I will be down $870 on each account on the day, or more than 10K on the week. ES going for intraday high. Gold, guys, malapit na siya sa entry ko. Sa live account. Risking $100. Isip ko to. 5-minute OB. 5-minute OB into 30 seconds at VG. Kaso nasa chop tayo. Yun lang yung concern ko. But I'm watching this level. I think may chance to na mag-deliver on this 30 seconds at VG. But I'm not taking it, chat. I'm not taking this. Given na chop yung condition at the moment. Not gonna take it. I think Powell is also speaking. It's just nice to watch this and see if mag-pan out siya. From 5 minutes OB into 1 minute sweep into 30 seconds at VG. Issue ko lang is itong mukhang CES, aabot siya dito sa high niya. That's my main concern. But I do have my long at this level for another 10 points. $10 pointer. That's annoying. Hit siya, but not enough to fill my entry. Wasn't enough. Parang hirap kumuha ng basic na trade, no? We are in a 70-point range. Sobrang hirap kumuha ng basic na trade. Okay na. Tuloyin ko muna to. I just don't like the fact na nag-wick siya, di ako in entry. Palong mo biglang short pala. Come muna, Papa Powell. Annoying yung short ko kanina, chat. Annoying. If I just shorted at this 930 FVG instead, I will be paid. But it is annoying. Super annoying. Still going lower. Natap pa lang yung 1 hour FVG. It was just tap, chat. Natap lang siya, natap. Let's see, chat. Take even ko na to. I'm not confident. I'm not confident, chat. I have huge confidence issue right now. Puchang yan. Alright. 10 points. Minus commission. So, break even ako so far. But, commission, I'm down $6 each account. So, kailangan kong guys. Kailangan kong take a breath. Kailangan kong magpahinga ng konti. Susunduin ko din yung girlfriend ko. The fact na nag-break even ako too early, I'm scared to lose on that trade. I'm not 100% confident right now. I have confidence issue. Lagay natin si Papa Powell sa screen. Para meron kayong panoorin.
Tariff effects on how long it takes for them to pass through fully into prices, and ultimately on keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. The FOMC's obligation is to keep longer-term inflation expectations well anchored and to prevent a one-time increase in the price level from becoming an ongoing inflation problem. As we act to meet that obligation, we will balance our maximum employment and price stability mandates, keeping in mind that without price stability, we cannot achieve the long periods of strong labor market conditions that benefit all Americans. For the time being, we are well positioned to wait to learn more about the likely course of the economy before considering any adjustments to our policy rate. To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Yan na.
Thank you. Now, I'll be keeping us to a pretty strict 5 minutes, as we have a lot of senators who want to and deserve time with the chair of the Fed. So, Senator Rounds, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the courtesy. Chairman Powell, first of all, let me just touch base on, I'm just curious, a couple of items almost of housekeeping nature. With regard to Wells Fargo, was that asset cap and removing it, that was a unanimous vote by all 7 Fed governors, as I recall?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciated the chairman bringing up the fact that you have identified reputational risk and have addressed it. I think that was a really important item for the Fed to do, following up on both the OCC and the FDIC's actions. As you know, past Fed materials like the Supervision and Regulation Report often embedded reputational risk within the management component of the CAMELS rating system without clear metrics or accountability. That kind of ambiguity can chill lawful activity and distract from your core mission, monitoring capital, liquidity, and operational resilience. Now that the Fed is moving toward a more objective and disciplined approach to supervision, how will you make sure that this change is fully implemented at the examiner level and more broadly?
Pinaka-volume? Masyado ba malakas?
So on following through on supervision, Vice Chair for Supervision 𝙁𝙗𝙗 actually brings an unusual background to this work.
Ano ba malakas?
That she's a former
Kala ko.
supervisor. So she speaks that language and relates to their work. And I think if anyone can have an effective relationship
Am I
with
done
them
for the day?
and
No, I'm
work
not
with them
done for the
successfully,
day.
it would be
Pero
Vice Chair for
magpapahinga lang
Supervision
ako
𝙁𝙗𝙗. So
kasi
I'm confident
na-stress
about
ako
that.
sa pagtitrade.
As we think about things that are going on
Boss, sige, kaya post
in
mo
the
pala yung
pipeline,
Telegram mo. I think
so I would just point to a few things. Basel III
RAM
Endgame.
32.
We're going to look at the rating system. We're going to be actually voting to put out for comment something on supplemental leverage ratio this afternoon. We're looking at our merger policy. Stress tests is a big thing, and there are a number of things that we're looking at that we've announced and we'll be moving to
Okay na
in
ba yung
time.
volume?
Thank you, sir.
Let me know.
The payment of interest on reserves has become a central pillar of the Fed's post-crisis monetary policy framework. Since the transition away from the pre-2008 scarcity model, where reserves were tightly managed to influence the federal funds rate, the
pa rin
Fed
ba?
has relied on an ample
malakas na.
reserves regime
Okay.
using administered rates like interest on reserves to maintain control over the short-term
Okay na,
rates.
nice.
As of February 2025, nearly 19% of the $18 trillion in bank assets were effectively loans to the Federal Reserve earning interest. Given this structural shift, how feasible would it be for the Fed to return to a scarcity-based framework where reserves earn little or no interest? And if interest on reserves were eliminated, what would be the impact that would have on the
Nakakainis lang
Fed's
chat
ability
na
to
na-stop out ako
unwind
dito
its
sa short ko
balance sheet
dito.
and manage policy
If I
rates?
just traded micro, put
we're
my
in
stop above
an
the
ample
high,
reserve
then I would get
framework
paid on this
now,
trade.
and that's a good thing. That's a result of the
Hindi
global
lang
financial
ako aggressive
crisis
on my
and
stop
the
and
desire to
actually
have lots and
widen
lots
it,
of liquidity
right?
and
Tas
large
targetin ko
liquidity
tong target ko
requirements
na to,
for
that's
our
50
largest
points.
banks in
I
particular.
just have
So
to widen
that's
my
a good
stop.
thing, and that enables banks to keep
That's
lending
one
through
of
stress and
the
that kind of thing.
lesson
If
here.
you were to want to go back to a scarce reserves, it would be a long and bumpy and volatile road. I wouldn't recommend that we undertake that road. It would not save any money. There's an illusion that it would save money. That is not the case. And it would also not make credit more available. This, in effect, I would say having a lot of liquidity in the system, which is what goes with ample reserves, make sure that banks will be able to continue to lend. So we think it works, and I think unwinding it is a policy choice which could be executed, but it would take years to execute, and it would be challenging and quite volatile.
Thank you. I've just got about 35 seconds left or so, but I did want to touch on one item that the chairman mentioned it, and I think it's important. I know that you didn't mention it in your opening statement, but would you talk a little bit about just exactly what's going on with your building when you have that type of an overrun on the prices and you're talking about billions of dollars in costs? I think it's appropriate for you to be able to explain to the committee exactly what's going on. Would you take a few minutes, please, and explain what's going on with the value of that building and why the costs seem to be so exorbitant?
I'd be glad to if I can have that time. So
please.
Thank you for the letter we received late yesterday. We will provide a much more detailed response, but just generally, I would just say we do take seriously our responsibility as stewards of the public's money. And the other thing I would start with is no one in office wants to do a major renovation of a historic building during their term in office. Much prefer to leave that to your successors. And this is a great example why, let alone two historic buildings that needed a lot of work. But we decided to take it on because, honestly, when I was the administrative governor before I came chair, I came to understand how badly the Eccles building really needed a serious renovation. It never had one. It was not really safe, and it was not waterproof.
May sign the Iran agreement next week.
Took it on.
I
would start by I would also say that the media reports that you accurately quoted, they're misleading and inaccurate in many, many respects. And I would just point to, there's no VPI dining room. There's no new marble. We took down the old marble. We're putting it back up. We'll have to use new marble where some of the old marble broke, but there's no new, there are no special elevators.
Let's watch Trump.
It's just, they're old elevators that have been there. There are no new water features. There's no beehives, and there's no roof terrace gardens. Other than that, so all of the sort of inflammatory things that the media carried are either not in the current plan or just inaccurate.
Panoorin natin si Trump.
In fact, he was in his college South, as you know, a very good college, and he was a good golfer. We had a good time. I think my relationship's great. I want to buy icebreakers. You're very good at icebreakers. And I actually made him an offer. I didn't go to Congress. They'll try and impeach me for this. But there's an old, it's not old, it's fairly new, but it's used
platform with trading with Apex. I use Trade-A-Vate. Trade-A-Vate is what I use.
1/3 of what he asked for. But we're negotiating. We need icebreakers in the U.S. And if we can get some inexpensively, I'd like to do that. Actually, they'll fix it up, make it good. Also, we may buy some icebreakers. You're the king of icebreakers, that particular country. They make them good. They make them really good, and they know what they're doing. And so we're negotiating with them for about 15 different icebreakers, but one of them is available now. It's old, and it's old. It's like 5-6 years old.
This is even gonna
and we're trying to buy it. I'm trying to make a good deal. All I do my whole life. My whole life, that's all I do is make deals. Yeah, please. Go ahead. Sir, go ahead.
Yeah, a question for NewsHour, Dutch TV. First of all, on Article 5, on your way here, you spoke about the commitment of the U.S. to Article 5, saying, I'll give you my definition once we're here. Yeah. What is your definition, and may the U.S. commitment to Article 5 change in case some of the NATO members do not reach the threshold that was discussed today? My second question is following up on a colleague on Iran. What intel reports do say that everything over there was obliterated?
Yeah, well, there are numerous of those reports, and they're coming out fast and furious. But the most respected ones we've already seen. And I will say that on a very confidential basis, they're looking at the reports, like numerous reports, and including people going to the site and checking the site. And they're going to be having, I guess you're going to be having over the next couple of days a full, you're going to encapsulate it. But no, the site was obliterated, just like I said it was, and just like the pilots should be given credit for. As far as Article 5, look, when I came here because it was something I'm supposed to be doing, but I left here a little bit differently. I said, I watched the heads of these countries get up And the love and the passion that they showed for their country was unbelievable. I've never seen quite anything like it. They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States, it's not going to be the same. And you can ask Mark, or you can ask any of the people that were there. It was really moving to see it. They love their country. They were so respectful of me because I'm the head of the United States. And I made, the King of Saudi Arabia, when I was in the Middle East, so I was in Qatar
Not
for a
taking any
different
trades,
reason,
chat.
not a reason to get shot at.
Trump
We were in
and
there for economic
Trump
development reasons,
and
Qatar, UAE, and Saudi
the-
Arabia. All three leaders of those countries, and we took back $5.1
Si Powell
trillion
pareho
into
nagsasalita.
the United States.
So,
All three leaders said, you're presiding
I
over the
missed
hottest
my
country in the
opportunity
world. The United
kanina,
States right now is the
which is the
hottest
short
country. Everybody
play.
wants to be there. Everybody wants a piece of it. He said a year ago, your country was dead. You had a deadhead running it. You had a country that was dead, and it was dead. You had people pouring through the borders. You had inflation. You had everything. He said, you've made it in 5 months at that time. You've made it the hottest country. This is the hottest country in the world. The United States right now is the hottest country in the world. And when I was around that table, it was a nice group of people, many of whom I knew from previous. When I saw the passion they had for the country, almost everyone, and you probably have the tapes, it was very public, but almost every one of them said, thank God for the United States. Without the United States, they couldn't really have NATO. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It will in the future because now they're paying much more money, but it wouldn't work. It was great. And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff, and we're here to help them protect their country. Okay, we'll do one or two more.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
A question on Spain.
I
Are
would
you
wait for 10
satisfied
a.m.
with,
candle to close.
today-
No, I think
Set up for
Spain's
me right now.
terrible what they've done.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I do. They're the only country
That's
that
not a
won't
bad
pay
idea.
the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. Spain is the only country that, are you from Spain?
Yeah.
Good, congratulations. You're the only country that is not paying. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's too bad. So we'll make it up. You know what we're going to do? We're negotiating with Spain on a trade deal. We're going to make them pay twice as much. And I'm actually serious about that. We're going to make Spain, I like Spain. I have so many people from Spain that it's a great place and they're great people. But Spain is the only country out of all of the countries that refuses to pay. And, so they want a little bit of a free ride. But they'll have to pay it back to us on trade because I'm not going to let that happen. It's unfair. It's unfair to NATO. All right, sir, please. Go ahead, right in the back. Yeah, you, tall one. The tall man.
issue ko dito sa gold chat, wala ng volume. At this
Mr.
point,
President, Johannes Petra from Austrian National Television.
How are you?
You once said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You later said you said that sarcastically.
Well, of course it was sarcastic.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
sarcastic daw yung
Because it's
Ukrainian.
more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other
Sabi,
wars.
tatapusin yung war
we
sa
just
day one.
ended a war in 12
Sarcastic
days
lang
that
daw
was
yun.
simmering for 30 years, frankly. We ended Rwanda and the Congo. It's coming to sign the documents. We've already signed basic documents, but they're coming, I think, to the White House
Mahirap
on
daw
Friday.
kausap si Zelensky.
We ended, Serbia was going to go at it. But maybe the most important of all, India and Pakistan. And that wasn't whether or not they may someday have nukes like we're talking about in the Middle East, like we're talking about with Israel and Iran. This is they have nuclear weapons. I ended that with a series of phone calls on trade. I said, look, if you're going to go fighting each other, it was getting very bad. You know how bad that last attack was. It was really bad. If you're going to go fighting each other, we're not doing any trade deal. No, you have to do a trade deal. I said, we're not doing any trade deal. And in fact, I had the general, who was very impressive. The general from Pakistan was in my office last week. You know, Prime Minister Modi is a great friend of mine. He's a great gentleman. He's a great man. And I got them to reason. I said, we're not doing a trade deal if you're going to fight. And if you're going to fight each other, we're not doing a trade deal. And you know what? They said, no, I want to do the trade deal. We stopped the nuclear war. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
Grabe,
Here's
no?
another beauty,
Ganyan pag
Jeff.
interview. Ang daming
He's
daming
a
nag-raise
beauty,
ng
all
hand.
right. Go ahead.
Mr. President, to follow up on Ukraine, will the United States contribute any more money to Ukraine's defense this year to the $5 billion that allies are giving? And one question, you had another meeting with the Dutch opposition leader, Mr. Wilders. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about that meeting? And are you upset about his anti-Muslim stance?
I'm not upset about it. It's just his view. He's unhappy with the way things are going in this country and various countries. He was an opposition leader. And I was asked to meet with the opposition leader by the people that are running. I think they have some deal where if you have a meeting, you're supposed to meet with an opposition leader. I said, that's strange. We don't do that. But I met with I didn't know him.
May SMT, no, guys. May SMT
He seemed like a very
on
nice
these
guy, but he's
levels,
in opposition
which
to
is
the
at a
current
key
people,
level,
and that
so
was set up by
not
the
gonna be
current people.
surprised
So
if we push
I
all the
assume
way
when
up.
I met with the Prime Minister, you're
Tapos
supposed to
nandun
meet
yung
with
jowa
the opposition. We'll have to try that sometime
na?
in our country. Let's not do it. But he was. I thought he was very good. As far as money going, we'll see
I'll
what
be back.
happens.
I
There's
have
a lot
boyfriend
of spirit.
duties
Look,
and I will be back. Ayan,
Vladimir
so-
Putin really has to end that war. People are dying at levels that people haven't seen before for a long time. Go ahead. Go ahead. White shirt. Oh, she's all excited.
So, BBC News Ukrainian. I would
Where are
like
you
to ask
from?
you- I'm from Ukraine.
Oh,
So my
wow.
question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you
And,
living yourself now in Ukraine?
my husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you're very, it's amazing.
and me with the kids. I'm in Warsaw actually because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No?
He's.
He's there now?
Yeah,
Wow. That's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
in Warsaw.
And you're a reporter?
I am.
Good. So let me just tell you, they do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available, They're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel, and they're very effective, 100% effective. Hard to believe how effective. And they do want that more than any other thing, as you probably know. That's a very good question, and I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay? Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You were criticizing
Where are you from?
Bloomberg News.
Oh, Bloomberg. That's
you were
wonderful.
you were criticizing the Federal Reserve Chair before coming to this summit.
Yeah, I think he's terrible.
I was wondering if you've begun interviewing different candidates for the Fed pick.
Yeah, I know within 3 or 4 people who are going to pick. I mean, he goes up pretty soon, fortunately, because I think he's terrible. We have no inflation. We have a tremendous economy. Hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is pouring in. Factories are being built because they don't want to pay the tariffs, so they're building them all over the country. I think we're close to $15 trillion. I told you $5.1 trillion from the Middle East alone, but of investment money coming in. There's never been anything like that in the history of our country. But we have no inflation. And we have borrowing because Biden, stupidly, they did short-term debt. So we have borrowing coming up. And, we'll go 10 years, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but we'll go a long period of time when we do the debt. And because of him, because of this guy, we will have to pay for years. We'll be paying for him. And I said to him, listen, there's no inflation. He says, but maybe there'll be some. That's true. I said, if there is some, what you do is raise the rate. I'm okay with that. You raise the rate in 2 years from now or a year from now. But because the rate's high, we have to pay more for debt. It's pretty equal. In other words, if it's 4%, it's 4%. If you drop it a point, you'll pay 3%. So it's fairly equal, not necessarily, but fairly equal. So we're going to end up paying maybe 2 points or 3 points more. 3 points would be about $900 billion a year because of this very average mentally person. He's an average mentally person. I'd say low in terms of what he does, low. Low IQ for what he does, okay? Wait, so instead of paying $900 billion, we don't want to pay 900 just because he doesn't want to lower the rate. I said, if there's inflation in 2 years or 3 years or 1 year from now, you raise the rate and you take care of the inflation, among other things. But he's probably a very political guy, I guess. I don't know. I think he's a very stupid person, actually. All right, one more. Let's go. How about you? Go ahead. She looks so happy and everything.
Thank you.
That's why I
I'm
picked
from
her.
Spain too. I'm Ana from La Vanguardia. I wanted to know if
You're where from?
Spain too. I wanted to know if you want to.
That's the Spain corner right there. Shouldn't have said that. That's okay. I do like Spain, by the way. I think it's unfair that they're not paying, but go ahead.
Are you going to negotiate directly with Spain about?
I'm going to negotiate directly with Spain. I'm going to do it myself. They're going to pay. They'll pay more money this way. You should tell them to go back and pay. You're a reporter? You tell them to go back. They ought to join all of those countries that are paying 5%. Spain's going to be just about the only one that's not. They were the most hostile toward doing it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. All right, Kelly, go ahead. Here we go. There's another one.
Hello, sir. Thank you
We got them all today.
Okay. So, Mr. President, you talked about expecting some on-the-ground assessments at Fordo and other sites.
Now here,
Is that
here
Israeli and U.S.?
It's been obliterated, Kelly. It's been
What is your message
obliterated.
then, sir, to the intelligence community when they present reports? You're not disputing the DIA report. You're just...
They presented a
exists.
report that wasn't finished. We're talking about something that took place 3 days ago.
I understand that, sir.
The report was done
assessment. So
2
what
days
is
ago.
your-
Wait a minute.
Yes.
They didn't see it. All they can do is take a guess. Now, if you take a look at the pictures, if you take a look how it's all blackened, you know the fire and brimstone is all underground because it's granite and it's all underground. You don't show it. But even there, with all of that being said, the whole area for 75 yards around the hole where it hit is black with fire. The group that's run by this gentleman, in fact, you may want to talk about it for a second because we're going to issue a report. And I think it's not even a very exciting report at this point. It's been obliterated, totally obliterated. And they did a report, but it was like, if you look at the dates, it's just a few days after it
Understood,
happened.
sir.
So they didn't see it. They said it may be very severe. Go
Understood.
ahead.
Do you have a message for the intelligence community, though, in terms of unvarnished information getting to you, that it's not...
I don't really have a message. I would say issue the report when you know what happened. I wouldn't say that it could be severe or maybe not. They use the word severe. It could be severe or maybe it's not.
And briefly-
So people like you picked up and said, oh, it's not severe.
We're just
No,
looking for the
the report was not a complete report. Yeah, the message was probably wait till you know the answer before you...
And,
Go
sir,
ahead.
did you not have a public component to your Zelensky meeting for a tactical reason with President Putin?
Let him answer this one.
Hello, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel and go really deep, because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. And somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to say, oh, with low confidence, we think maybe it's moderate. Those that dropped the bombs precisely in the right place know exactly what happened when that exploded. And you know who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
But you're not disputing the report said what it said, even though it was initial.
The report said what it said, and it was fine. It was severe, they think, but they had no idea. They shouldn't have issued a report until they did, but we've gotten the information. I think Pete said it better than you can say it. And, you know, you should be proud, you, especially you, should be proud of those pilots, and you shouldn't be trying to demean them.
No,
those pilots flew at great risk, a big chance that they'd never come back home and see their husbands or their wives. Let me just tell you, you and NBC, fake news, which is one of the worst, and CNN, New York Times, are all bad. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. But you know what? You should be praising those people instead of trying to find some. By getting me, by trying to go and get me, you're hurting those people. They were devastated. You know, I got a call from Missouri, great state, that I won 3 times by a lot. And I got a call that the pilots and the people on the plane were devastated because they were trying to minimize the attack. And they all said it was hit. But we don't think it was really maybe hit that badly. And they were devastated. They put their lives on the line, and then they have, and I'm not referring to you, but real scum come out and write reports that are as negative as they could possibly be. It should be the opposite. You should make them heroes and heroines. You should make them really people that they were so devastated when they heard this news. And you know what they said? One of them, I spoke to one of them, said, "Sir, we hit the site. It was perfect. It was dead on," because they don't understand fake news, because they have a normal life, except they have to fly very big, very fast planes. But it's a shame. You should be making them heroes. All right, in the back. Go ahead, back, white, yeah. White jacket, yeah. Go ahead, give my mic. Hello.
Deborah Haynes from Sky News.
Good.
Mark Rutte, the NATO
Dad,
chief,
I am
who
back.
is your friend, he called you daddy earlier.
Nothing really
Do you
significant have
regard
happened so
your
far.
NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? He did it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and they're spending more, and you're obviously
Just 5 minutes
appreciative
at a time,
of
just
that.
help through it,
But do you hope
and you'll be
that
paid.
actually they're going to be able to defend themselves,
I know.
defend Europe on their own?
I think they need help a little bit at the beginning, and I think they'll be able to, and I think they're going to remember this day.
Of course.
And this was a big day for NATO. You know, this was a very big day. They took it. One of the gentlemen said, "You know what? We've been trying to raise money raise the rate for 30 years," he said, 20 years, from almost the beginning. And he's been there for a long time. He said, "Until you came along, it never happened." What you did is amazing. It's been sort of an amazing day for a lot of reasons, but also for that. Yeah, go
Do you
ahead.
think they can do it without you, though, in the future? Can they do it without
Well, ask Mark.
States?
I mean, you have to ask Mark, okay? So we're heading back. We're heading back. I want to thank these 2 gentlemen behind me. They're incredible people, both of them. They're really, they've done a fantastic job. And Susie's in the front, and she's done great. And Monica, thank you very much. That was quite an exciting time.
It's just,
And
kailangan
we're going to be heading back.
kailangan
We'll be back soon, and we'll see you in
mag-hold sa
Washington,
risk if I
D.C.
wanted this
Remember
amount
this,
of
we have the
room,
hottest
right?
country
Kailangan
anywhere in the
stop ko siguro
world. Thank you
below
very
this
much,
5,
everybody.
Then typical was above here. If I want, do you trust the American intelligence? ES, guys, on its way to high. So ito yung SMT, right? That is the SMT. That's the G's. yung volume imbalance kanina. Volume imbalance. Maliit. Gave 10 points. Not bad. But yeah, may long ako kanina right here, but really not really feeling confident. You have to be longing at 1 hour FVG. The stop mo will be, which is something I'm not used to. Something like this siguro, right? 1:1. Oh, malayo-layo yung stop. Okay guys, tapos na si Trump. Let's go back to Powell.
I think mismanagement of the federal workforce. I can tell you some of the DOGE approach in the national security and intel world. Cuts are having dramatic effects. But today I want to mention something that frankly doesn't get a lot of attention. A very small entity, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. U.S. economic data, which has always been independent, it's really been viewed as the gold standard across the globe. And frankly, the BLS data often is the guidepost that investors use regularly.
What's up,
BLS helps us get information about cost of living increases, policy making for you guys. It's used to adjust payments on the roughly $2 trillion in Treasury bonds. The truth is that the BLS data shouldn't be degraded on any basis. Yet, the administration has so dramatically, and I hope my Republican colleagues will hear on this, cut back the staffing at BLS that the BLS has had to significantly cut back on the collection of critical price and inflation data. Normally, BLS staff, when you don't have all the data collected, will estimate about 10% of the inputs into the CPI. Now, with these cutbacks, they've had to estimate close to 30% of the data. That means faultier data. How can we grapple with this, and what does the undermining and staffing shortages at a BLS mean in terms of your ability at the Fed to do your job?
You know, we can still do our job. I would not want anyone to think that the data have deteriorated to a point where it's difficult for us to understand the economy as well as we can understand it, which is not perfectly. But the direction of travel is concerning. You know, the U.S. has been a leader globally in investing in how to measure the output of a modern economy, which is something that we've led the world in for a long time. And it really helps not just policymakers, but also businesses if we have accurate information about what's going on in the economy. You're making decisions based on that economy, not just the Fed, not just you, but private companies as well. So I think it's I think it's something we should continue to invest in. And I don't like to see any deterioration in the public data, which has been the gold standard. The BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and others have really been the bedrock that people really do look to as solid data that tell us what's
and these
happening
people
in the economy.
who do collect this input, who do some of this analysis, they are experts. They are not fungible. You fired one and hire another. I mean, there's an expertise here that has been, I think, being undermined. And again, you just look at the fact that if you have to do your estimates,
May short ako, chat, on this.
10%
Risk ko is $100.
That is not good.
My stop is
Let me
above
move to one
London
other
High.
topic in my last minute.
Given that we are in a
stress tests, really important.
We are
Those
in
of us who are
this
involved in
time of
Dodd-Frank,
day,
really
medyo
important
low
as we try to
probability
think
to.
about the most significant
Kasi what
banks.
are the chances na during
But
PM
there has been
session
concern,
mag-deliver
I've
to sa
shared some of this
downside?
concern that
Right?
the
Based
stress
on
test
time, this
process
is a
was
lower
so opaque,
probability trade. Kasi if titignan mo yung PM session,
that while the regulators
it
may fully
wasn't
administer,
pretty.
sometimes
Plus, we have
very
triple
banks being
top here.
regulated
So I
didn't
might
understand
get
fully the
stop here,
criteria.
but
I know
we'll
you're
see.
taking a look at how we can bring more transparency to the
Lalagay ko lang
process.
stop ko dito.
When
I
do
will
you think
not
we'll see
touch
that,
it.
and what kind of
But
changes
based
do you
on
think we'll
time,
make?
this is not
Well,
high
later this year,
probability
we've
anymore.
said that we're going to, fully disclose the models, and that's the main thing. If you're going to set, it's like the IRS. If you're going to charge people taxes, you have to have the transparency about what that is. It's going to be the same as that. We're going to show how the calculations are made, We're working on all that right now. We're also we have a proposal out to sort of smooth the results of the test from year to year. So this is something we're working on hard and expect to have important progress later this year when we begin to publish the models.
I'm anxious to see it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Ricketts. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we were talking about tariffs a little bit earlier, the senator from Virginia talked about Australia. I will point out that Australia has, we bought about $28 billion worth of Australian beef, and they've bought exactly zero of ours. So there's an opportunity to be able to improve that trade relationship. So that's one of the things I hope will come out of the trade negotiations.
You will acknowledge there is, though, we actually have a trade surplus.
We actually have a trade surplus with Australia, that is correct, but we'd like to sell more beef to them. So that's an opportunity. But one quick question on that, kind of just following up on Senator Kennedy's line of questioning. So if a tariff was put in place and the prices went up, wouldn't that be a one-time event, right? Because after that, it would be baked in. It's just a one-time thing.
So it might well be, as I indicated in my opening remarks, it might well be a one-time event, but that isn't a law of nature. You know, we would want to make sure of that. We were more sure of that back in 2018 because we'd had, 40 years of low inflation. Coming off of a global inflation episode where we haven't fully returned to 2%, it's something that's a question we will approach carefully.
But if the tariff is only put in once and just maintains the flat rate there, then how could that be inflationary in the second year?
Well, because it could be a process of many years. I mean, that's a couple of things are. One is if it comes in quickly and it's over and done, then yes, very likely it's a one-time thing, like an oil shock, a one-time oil shock where the price comes back down, it goes through the system. It doesn't raise inflation, just raises prices once. But if you have a process that goes on multiple shocks for years, for example, or if the shocks are very large, that kind of thing. And I think, again, we have to be conscious of the current situation, which is people haven't seen 2% flat inflation for some years now, and it's different from what it was in 2018 when we had tariffs earlier, when we actually cut rates. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying we're not reacting at all to this. It's a risk we feel like as the people who are supposed to keep stable prices for the benefit of the American people, we need to manage that risk too. That's all we're doing. We're not deciding what to do yet.
Yeah. So if Senator Warner's comment that a tariff is a tax, would that imply that then taxes could be inflationary as well?
No.
So what's the difference between a tax and a tariff then? Or do you disagree with Senator Warner's characterization that tariffs are not taxes?
I wouldn't disagree with that, but it's not the language I use. Look, this is, as I say, one time could be the base case, but in a situation like this where the process could go on for a long time, where the effects could be large or small, it's just something you want to approach carefully in a world where inflation is not back to 2%. And that's our job. If we make a mistake here, people will pay the cost for a long time. And so we're just approaching the question carefully. That's all we're doing. You know that a majority of my committee has said that they do expect to cut rates between now and the end of the year in the remaining 4 meetings. So it's not that we're taking a strong view that it will be inflation and not a one-time cost increase. It's just that we're going to take a careful approach to that very critical question.
Well, let me switch gears on you a little bit. Communist China is our single greatest threat to America's national security and financial independence. Now more than ever, the U.S. must ensure the security of our financial system against Communist China's malign influence. And in 2022, Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee released a report identifying efforts by Communist China operatives to infiltrate the Federal Reserve System. The report contained real-life examples of Communist China's attempts and tactics used to target Federal Reserve officials. In late January, a former senior advisor to the Fed Reserve was arrested on charges that he conspired to steal Federal Reserve trade secrets to benefit and advance Communist China's interests. This Wall Street Journal article from May 2025 details the potential ramifications of his actions. The kind of data and trade secrets that this Fed Reserve employee shared could allow Communist China to manipulate the U.S. market and gain advanced knowledge of changes to the federal funds rate.
Kung sa trade away ka nag-trade, what you can do is,
when selling or buying
or
US
if sa
bonds
trade
and
away,
securities.
right-click mo to, exit all position.
Chairman, has the
If sa trading
Fed
view ka
Reserve made any
nag-trade,
changes
lagi
to
mo yung
strengthen
trade
its
away mo and do
internal
this.
counterintelligence
Kung
and security
naka-ritmic
protocols
account
since the
ka,
development of these incidents?
Ninja Trader gamit mo,
So
i-close mo yung
that's
position
an
sa
incident, and I would say we take it
Pwede
very
mo
seriously.
i-send yung
We have
screenshot sa akin sa Discord so I can see it.
elaborate and serious and strict provisions around staff access to information, serious protections for confidential information. We have background checks. We have annual training. We have many of those things. I don't know that we've made any fundamental changes, but we're certainly, sorry, very sorry to see something like this having taken place. And we're certainly looking at the protections we have in place.
Great. Well, I have another question, and we'll just submit as a QFR, but I know the chairman said you've got a heart out, so I'll go ahead and yield back my time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Chairman Powell. Good to see you. I want to start by acknowledging the continued uptake of the FedNow real payment system. I know I've raised the development and rollout of that system with you in many, many hearings over many years. We're now about 2 years after launch. I want to continue to work with you and your colleagues to encourage expanded adoption of the capability and capacity so that customers have real-time access to their money. So I just ask that we continue to work on that together. You agree?
I do.
I thought you might. Thank you. So I want to ask you about the student loan situation in the country. And you've talked about this in the past, and you've talked about how it can be a drag on the economy, especially when it gets to be very high in terms of Fed student loan balances grew by $16 billion to reach $1.63 trillion in the first quarter of this year. Data shows an uptick in the student loan delinquency rate overall, the age of delinquent borrowers, and the number of newly delinquent borrowers. The Department of Education, meanwhile, restarted debt collection activities last month, and starting in July, nearly 2 million borrowers could see their wages being garnished. Meanwhile, here in the Senate, President Trump and Republican senators are working to pass this piece of legislation that would limit affordable loan repayment options and make it harder for borrowers to responsibly repay their debt and get back on a path toward financial health. So, Mr. Chairman, you said before in your testimonies that student loan debt can negatively impact borrowers' ability to fully participate in our economy, and that it can weigh down on the economy overall. Is that still your view?
Yes, it is.
And could you just share your assessment, just from a factual perspective, about how this problem seems to be growing at this point in time, and what would happen if we allow all of these borrowers to default?
So the point I was making, I try hard not to comment on things that aren't Fed policy, but I broke that rule in this case many years ago, so I'll just say what I said then, which is, you can make all kinds of investments, and you can discharge if you can't pay back the loan, you can discharge it in bankruptcy. The one exception we make is student loans. And I ask whether that is wise national policy. People borrow to invest in their education. That we do not forgive. It seems like something for Congress to consider, that's all. It's none of the Fed's business, really. Ultimately, it's not a big macroeconomic thing, but I've said it before. I said it again.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your breaking your own rule before, and I appreciate your
I won't do it again.
Now. I could not agree with you more about the anomaly in the ability to discharge a debt in bankruptcy. The idea that student loan sort of is the one category of debt that we don't allow to be discharged is confounding. I think, unfortunately, so far, it's been a sign of the power of some of the companies involved in that area. And I just came from another committee where I'm the ranking member, so I apologize if you already talked about the tariff situation. But I know this was obviously a factor that you all had to consider in making decisions about changes in the interest rates. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty in the economy. I mean, I hear it every day from Marylanders. We have the Port of Baltimore. We have lots of small businesses that rely on tariffs. You're an economist. You know that increasing tariffs is like increasing taxes across the board. But can you just speak to the uncertainty component of all of this and how that is weighing on people's decisions?
So surveys show very widely that people feel uncertain about the economy, and they do point to tariffs in that answer. I will say, though, that actually peaked back in April and has come down a little bit. And if you talk to businesses, I talked to an unusually large number of business people in the last couple of months, and the feeling is a little better now than it was. They're getting on with it and feeling, I'd say surveys are still showing depressed sentiment, but it's moved up from where it was.
I would say, Mr. Chairman, that may be the case at this moment, but we all know that we could wake up any morning and see another tweet, and that could change dramatically. So I appreciate your efforts to try to do what you can to meet your dual objectives at the Fed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Senator Lummis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks, Chairman Powell, for being here today. As you know, what always vexes me, and has for the last 4.5 years, about the Federal Reserve is the bank supervision function as opposed to the monetary policy function. So I'm going to focus on bank supervision. First of all, I do want to thank you and Vice Chair Mickey Bowman for ensuring reputation risk has been removed from the bank supervision process. It was very arbitrarily used by those who were supervising. On January 27th, 2023, I'd call it the high watermark for Operation Choke Point 2.0. The Federal Reserve Board, in coordination with President Biden's White House, executed a coordinated attack to isolate the digital asset industry from the banking system. And while the Fed has taken steps to adopt a more balanced approach to digital assets, which I appreciate, the legacy of January 27th, 2023 remains with us today. So I'd like you to look at this quote. It says, issuing tokens on open, public, and/or decentralized networks or similar systems is highly likely to be inconsistent with safe and sound banking practices. So my first question is, do you recognize this quote?
Yes, not super clearly, but yes, I do.
Because it's from the Federal Reserve Board's policy statement on Section 913 of the Federal Reserve Act, which was formally adopted by the board on January 27th, 23. So now, Chairman Powell, I want to show you another statement, and I'm sorry if you can't see it clearly, I'll read it to you. It's from the Genius Act, which just passed the Senate by a vote of 68 to 30 last week. And it takes the opposite position to the board's policy statement on issuing stablecoins on an open, public, distributed ledger. So my question is, what has changed about the risk of stablecoins since the board adopted its policy in 2023? And now that the Congress has weighed in, at least the Senate has weighed in and sent the Genius Act to the House, does the board plan to withdraw the policy statement on Section 913?
So I think what has changed is, if you go back, that's a couple of years ago, that was the period of high-profile failures and fraud and that kind of thing. And what's happened is, I think, the industry is maturing, our understanding of it is improving, and in a sense, it's becoming much more mainstream. So all of us are revisiting, the things that were done during that era, and I think the current view is that, that it's appropriate for. It's always been appropriate for banks to choose their customers and to be able to undertake activities as long as they're safe and sound. In terms of, I think I have to get back to you on 913. I think it's a broader thing that has nothing to do with crypto, but that was a piece of it. We are looking at and withdrawing many of our pieces of crypto guidance from that era, though, as you know.
And I appreciate that. I hope that by withdrawing the guidance that you're also instructing and admonishing your banks
the price action today, in my opinion, is much better compared to yesterday. This day is actually tradable, and I think you can find 30-point
efforts to regulate banks
type of price action
that provide too much discretion
Honestly,
to
I think
bank regulators
this price
to
action is a
pick
bit
winners
decent
and
compared to
losers from
yesterday.
among the customer lists, the loan portfolios of banks.
At least on my expectation in the market today, somehow
It's
nagmanifest
antithetical
except
to
yung
the
dito kanina.
American system of banking. And I do think
I was
that
thinking of the
there
volume
was that
imbalance
kind
earlier.
of
Nakita ko to sa
discretion
2022
unleashed on
mentorships,
banks.
I think it was
And
episode
it had
24
a negative impact,
When you have
a real
multiple
chilling
FPG and
impact
OB,
on
you try
banks
to
as they
snipe
selected
it with the volume
and
imbalance and
banked
then
certain
displace lower,
industries and then
then replace
debanked
in here,
other
then dump
industries and other people during the last
it's
4
more
years.
decent, I would say, compared to
So taking the guidance
stop when-
documents
mas gusto ko yun today.
and policy statements out is important, but also guiding the people that there are changes now and that they can no longer use their own subjective biases towards DEI and ESG and other things in supervising the banks is also a critical component of bank regulation.
I agree completely. And as you know, Vice Chair Bowman is actually a former bank supervisor, so she's very well placed to make that happen.
And I realize that she as vice chair is more directly involved in bank supervision. I hope that you will use your role to punctuate the importance of those changes within the bank supervision function at the Fed.
We're going to have to move on.
Thank you.
I'm assuming your answer is yes. Senator Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Chair Powell, and welcome to the committee. So, Chair Powell, a few months ago, you issued a warning about the trajectory of our national debt. Speaking at a New York Times event, you said the U.S. federal budget is on an unsustainable path. The debt is not only at an unsustainable level, but the path is unsustainable, and we know that we have to change that. Would you still agree that that is true?
Yes, that's the one thing that I would always say, and that my predecessors have said, and that's the kind of the only thing we say about fiscal policy.
Exactly. And I would agree with that. At a time when Americans are struggling to figure out how to afford their lives and have low confidence in the economy, to add to the deficit now, as the big beautiful bill does, just strikes me as unsustainable. Now, I'm not asking you to moderate between Republican and Democratic policy differences on the big beautiful bill, but would you agree that the big beautiful bill adds to the deficit based on the data that you've seen?
I'm just not going to comment on the reconciliation.
Okay. Well, I will just point out to my colleagues that the CBO says that it adds to the deficit. The Joint Committee on Taxation says that it adds to the deficit. The Yale Budget Lab says that it adds to the deficit. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget says that it adds to the deficit. The Penn-Wharton budget model says that it adds to the deficit. And even some of my Republican colleagues, Senator Johnson, Senator Paul, say that it adds to the budget. And as Senator Johnson says, it's wrong and immoral. So I appreciate that you won't comment on any of this, but let me just ask you an economic question. Can you talk a bit about what impact a rising deficit has on our goal of lowering costs for Americans, especially in the Trump tariff environment that we are in right now?
I'm sorry.
What impact does a rising deficit have on our goal of lowering costs for Americans, particularly when we are in this Trump tariff environment, the unpredictability of that?
So I think it's likely that when markets are pricing longer-term Treasury securities, there's something baked into that in the market's thinking about interest rates. What should be the appropriate interest rate? But it's hard to unpack that with any precision. But
these are factors that have lots of interplay between one another.
Yes.
Yes. And Chair Powell, could you just comment briefly about the potential risks of stagflation, where we have slower growth and higher inflation? I know this is something that the Fed guards against. And Could you just comment a bit on the risks of that and what it means for regular Americans trying to afford their lives?
So we're not seeing that now.
Yeah.
It isn't really the base case that that's what we're going to see. But of course, that's a very difficult thing because, a stagnant economy wants more stimulus, but an economy with more inflation wants less stimulus. So it puts the central bank in a hard place. We've warned of it, but it's honestly not something that we're facing or that we expect to face. But it's something we're monitoring is what's happening.
Thank you. I want to follow up on a question I asked you the last time you were before the committee. I asked about the impact of severe weather events, otherwise known as climate change, on home insurance costs. And you testified that, I think you said, if you fast forward over 10 or 15 years, there are going to be regions of the country where you can't get a mortgage because of the, can't get a mortgage because of the impact of the challenges of insurance companies just not being able to.
But 1 hour is still holding.
Provide that. Since February, when I asked you that question, home insurance rates have continued to decline. A recent analysis about climate risk from First Street found that financial burdens from severe weather are driving up household costs and triggering increased mortgage defaults. Now, it's at about 8% now, but they project that by 2035, 30% of all foreclosure losses would be related to climate impacts, which is pretty stunning. Now, I realize this is a complicated issue because insurance is regulated primarily at the state level, though there are exceptions. Flood insurance and terrorism insurance are exceptions. But I wonder if you would comment on this. I'm thinking a lot about what impact this has on housing costs, which is a big component of inflation and a place where housing costs are rising higher than the general inflation rate right now.
Many things are driving up housing costs.
Yes, that's true.
It's of course mortgage rates, but it's also zoning costs and things like this for properties that are near the water. Particularly, for example, we spend some time down in Florida. Property insurance just gets more and more and more expensive, and to the point where it almost makes sense to self-insure, and that's because of just big losses. Companies are just putting that in their models, and they're charging what they need to charge to make a return. And if they can't get that, then they'll leave that state. So that seems to be what's happening.
I mean,
I know I'm out of time.
You're
Mr.
gonna
Chair. Thank you.
You're gonna spend a lot of mental capital.
Minnesota
Gave her 22 seconds.
I miss those days.
That's why they
we
call me
have
the Velvet
50
Hammer, sir.
in 1 minute.
I didn't say that you weren't harsh as well. You're just nice when you do it, like just right now. See, Senator Moreno reminded me not to give Tina a compliment in the middle of the back.
Chairman Powell, just want to make certain I understand this correctly. Control inflation and maximize employment. That's it. Two things, correct?
Yes.
So let's take one at a time. Maximize employment. Do you care if every American makes minimum wage or makes a livable wage? Is that something that factors into your thought process? In other words, we have full employment, but most Americans are on substandard wages. Does that change your calculus?
Does it change my what?
Calculus. Does it? In other words, is it full employment is full employment? Every American has a job, but they're making minimum wage. Versus having a family-sustaining wage. Does that matter to the Federal Reserve?
It would matter to the country a lot.
I'm saying, does it matter to the Federal Reserve when you're making your decision?
Honestly, we don't really have the tools to affect that.
Right. So it doesn't factor in. Now that's different than us. The people of this country elect us to make certain that their wages are higher than inflation. And by the way, let the records show that real wages are up this year. So we've done that,
US
not the Federal Reserve. Second piece of it is, let's talk about inflation.
We've helped control inflation, which is part of that.
We're going to jump right into the inflation conversation. There's different kinds of inflation. There's different causes. There's not witnesses to inflation. There's key actors to inflation. Would you agree?
Sure.
Okay. So let's talk about the actors. Did you comment during COVID lockdowns that was a bad idea, meaning that you're shutting down the entire economy? It's not a button. I hit the button, you can hear me. It's on and off. COVID wasn't that. We just shut down the economy. Any comments on that?
Of course not.
Okay, so you didn't comment on that. Vaccine mandates, something that my Democrat colleagues loved. If you don't get the vaccine, you're a terrible human being. You can't go to work. In fact, Joe Biden was overruled by the Supreme Court because he said that if you work in a company with more than 100 employees and you don't get vaccinated, the company has the ability to fire you, unless you prove that you're negative on COVID. That obviously is a supply chain shock, wouldn't you agree? If I'm running an assembly line and now I have to put my people 6 feet apart and now I have people quitting or not coming to work or I have to fire them, that's a supply chain shock, wouldn't you agree?
I mean, it's a medical thing that you
No,
take.
but it's a supply chain shock.
George Washington.
I'm not asking you to make a medical decision. I'm asking you to make a Fed decision on inflation.
Way outside anything we would comment.
But it affects inflation because supply.
It didn't, in fact.
Are you saying that supply chain shocks don't affect inflation?
They do, but that
okay,
one
they do.
didn't.
So that's clearly one. If you ban the export of liquid natural gas, which is going to cause the commodity price to go up, would that supply shock not also cause inflation?
Potentially could.
Yeah. So, and now the ranking member loves to talk about billionaire corporations, that are going to get away with paying taxes, right? Who pays corporate taxes? Like, who pays it? Is it like some obscure Wizard of Oz character behind the curtain that is a corporate entity that pays taxes? Who pays taxes?
I mean, ultimately, it's shareholders and customers.
So I'm going to read you a line. You tell me this is accurate. On taxes, it's not possible to know in advance precisely how the costs will be shared for taxes. I added
Correct.
that.
I would
but
agree.
it is highly likely that consumers will pay a meaningful share. Meaning if the ranking member has her way, let's just tax corporations at 100%. Why not? Be fantastic, right? Oh, nobody would want to start a company, but that aside, that cost would be added to consumer products, correct?
A tax or a tariff? What are you talking about now?
If the income tax for American corporations goes up, they will share that tax burden with their consumers. True or false?
Yeah, ultimately.
Yeah. So then taxes do raise inflation, but you don't comment on.
I mean, they haven't.
And you don't.
That's
but you
just
don't.
not true. I mean,
I got
empirically, it's not true.
The chairman's going to beat me up in 56 seconds. So, but you sent me a very nice letter, which I appreciate. And it says the Federal Reserve plays no role in commenting on trade policy. So you don't comment on supply shocks. You don't comment on tax policy, which clearly affects inflation. You don't comment on demand pull. You just said now that we should forgive student debt. Why is a person that goes to Harvard, that gets a gender studies major, pays Harvard obscene amounts of money because professors are grossly overpaid there? Is that person better than a working class Ohioan that is a plumber but can't afford a car because interest rates are too high and car prices have gone up? Why is that person? Why don't we forgive that person's car loan instead of forgiving their student loan? But you don't comment on that. You comment on tariffs. So I'm going to just show you.
I don't comment on tariffs at all. Actually, I comment on
only
inflation.
commented on tariffs. You've
I'm
only
not commenting on the
tariffs.
wisdom of tariffs.
Look, the chairman's over there in the conversations. I'm going to show you a chart here. This is car prices.
I'm paying attention, however.
This is car prices since this year. Come on. Car prices are down. Car prices are down. Inflation in America is down. We got elected by millions of voters. You got elected by one person. He doesn't want you to be in that job. And you are costing this government $400 billion a year by refusing to lower interest rates. Nobody in this chamber has that kind of power to have a $400 billion impact on this economy, on our deficit. And I just think that you should consider whether you're really looking at this from a fiscal lens or a political lens, because you just don't like tariffs.
Senator Warnock is next.
Galit lang.
Thank you, Chair Scott, and thank you, Chair Powell. Good to see you. The United States national debt currently exceeds $36 trillion. Last year, we paid nearly $1 trillion in interest on the debt alone, more than the federal government spent on educating and feeding our children. Chair Powell, how does the Fed consider rising national debt levels during discussions about adjusting interest rates?
We really don't. We take fiscal policy as completely exogenous, and we look at the data that's coming in, but we don't. We're never going to take into account budget deficits and things like that.
Well, here is my concern. Maybe Congress should be thinking about it. The world is losing faith in America's ability to repay our debt. We have seen a sell-off in the bond market. The United States dollar has lost more than 10% of its value against the euro and pound, and is down against nearly every single major currency in the world. Back in May, Moody's downgraded the U.S. government's credit rating because of growing debt and sinking confidence in lawmakers' willingness to address this issue. Historically, high debt pushes up interest rates, slowing economic growth and setting up a dangerous debt cycle
Guys,
where
I'm
both
gonna end
interest
this trip.
rates
It's been
and debt continue
I'm
to rise.
just
Chair
break even
Powell,
right now,
how does
minus
the size
commission,
and
two
the
trades,
trajectory of the national debt
3.10
affect
3.10 commission per trade, and I took 2 trades, basically here loss and another win, so break even on the day minus commission of $6. I'm not sure if I'm going to trade, honestly. I'm just gonna sit on the sideline, and yeah, I'll keep you guys posted sa Discord if anong gagawin ko, but for now, I'm out, chat. I'm out for today. If you hang out with me today, thank you. I wish I could have made it more entertaining, but it is what it is. Sometimes market is not as good as we wanted to, so we can't really force it. So stay safe out there. Good luck, be patient, and I hope you make a profitable week this week. So peace out, chat. Thank you. Bye.